When I was in the UK, I was giving out to guys in the streets. I'm talking to he doesn't do some like literally in the masjid in front of me. That guy just told me about the phone. He had a nice in the masjid.
No way.
I don't really like to associate myself to that online da'wah space.
I want him to admire the Prophet, not admire people who are trying to say they're bad man.
Yeah.
This is the real top guy.
Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, when he gave charity in Mecca, he gave away 40,000 silver coins. That's $10 million, bro.
And you're talking calm, you're talking calm. But you're all on your phones! Bro, I wasn't even there. I dashed my phone, bro.
Should I just say this unfiltered? Guys are looking at her thighs. She's coming out in a miniskirt.
Dawah man, does all the dawah that he can. Praises Allah, preaches Tawheed, he's always on the deen. Yo, watch out, it's the dawah man. Assalamu alaikum.
How you doing?
I'm good, man. I was thinking.
Alhamdulillah. Nah, bro, good to see you in the flesh.
Likewise, man. Likewise. We're talking for a bit now.
Yeah, man. Talking for a bit. We're just about to start a new topic. We thought, you know what, let's just get the cameras rolling. Let's start talking about it on the camera.
Let's go.
I was about to tell you why me and Faiyad started this podcast, bro. One day, me and Faiyad's chilling. You know what I mean? He says, yo, let's run a podcast back. I said, listen, I don't want to do a podcast unless we're doing it for some benefit. And we're actually addressing a topic right now that is relevant in the Ummah. All right? So anybody who knows, I know for me following our podcast, knows that we talk about differences between men and women and the men and women situation right now in the Ummah. And what we can see right now, what we've seen online especially, bro, and want to also get your take is if this is just online or in the real world as well, but men and women right now in the Ummah, bro, more divided than ever, bro. Do you know what I mean? It's like you even see in the people that they're taking information from. The men are taking information from some imams, the sisters are going for your compassionate imams. You see online, they're just fighting at each other's necks. The frustration, bro. The frustration is boiling over. All right? You might even, some of the sisters even look at you, bro, and they're like, yo, he's one of the culprits. He's on the men's side. He makes things worse because we don't see it that way. We see, yo, my man's just preaching the truth.
There's even a stereotype called Dawah bro.
Dawah bro, yeah. Dawah man is a Dawah bro. What Dawah bro?
Yeah.
But what's your perspective on this? Have you seen a similar thing? Have you seen this trend, bro? Or is this something we're making up?
No, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah, ma ba'd. So, you know what is that? I've been doing this for over 10 years now, alhamdulillah. So, over 10 years of being involved in da'wah, you get to kind of see what's going on. So, initially, when I would see problems in the Muslim community, I would address them, right? What's the issue here? Free mixing, let's address it. Music, people are trying to make it seem like it's permissible, but it's not. Let's address it. People doing shirk, bid'ah, which is crazy, right? Fundamentally, like, shirk will take you outside the fold of Islam. But then one needs to then start asking themselves, what are the roots to these problems? Now, what are the root causes to these problems? We've got a pandemic right now, right? Of, let's just say we take the sisters issue, the men and women issue here. We've got a pandemic of like feminism being rampant amongst the Muslim women, even those who are coming from a conservative practicing background, really having a bit of a skewed understanding of what the religion is, the woman's role in Islam in society, the man's role in Islam in society. There is a fundamental issue, and I feel like a lot of the times we actually miss what that fundamental issue is. So I want to take you guys back, and you may remember, but you may be, you know, this may predate you.
Hi, young man.
But back around when 9/11 happened, they issued something called a RAND report. I'm sure if you heard about it. It was called the RAND report. RAND report.
Okay.
So when this RAND report came out, it basically RAND was a think tank, right? People need to start understanding what's going on in the world to understand why Muslims are in the positions that they are. It's not that they're just, you know, sometimes we take it into one extreme. Oh, there's a secret society that are worshipping the devil. No, these men are worshipping the devil, but they're actually doing it out in the open. It's not like a secret society. They're putting all this stuff out there. You know what I'm saying? So they created a report. And the point of this report was, how are we going to handle radical Islam? So what they wanted to do was, they wanted to basically popularize Sufism. It's many things, right? Why? Because Sufis are liberals. They don't cling to the text as much, right? They they've got a lot of fatwa or Islamic verdicts that one would say are anomalies, right? They're shad, they're not mainstream, they're not things that are unanimously agreed upon. They will be the ones who will allow music, men and women to sit next to each other and so on and so forth. They also said find Muslim, they never use the word influencer as a common term, but like celebrities that are more liberally inclined and fund them and lift them up and do things. Now, what they started doing was identifying, for example, these nasheed artists that were slowly walking towards music. But you have to think about it, nasheeds are dead. Let's be honest with you. Let's be honest now. These Western nasheeds are like, they're actually
like they're not good. They're like there's
like as in I'm not talking about halal haram fit. But how have you got? And it doesn't happen now, but it was happening 10 years ago. You would have arenas with 20, 30,000 filled up. These nasheed artists are pulling up. It's because these guys were getting funding from these governmental institutions or these, these what they call these interest groups. They were just putting money behind saying, give these guys a voice. Let me give you an example. Let's not go too far. There's that, I won't mention the name, but there's an Instagram page that pushes some crazy, dirty liberal stuff, right? It's got a Muslim name. People don't know there's a don called Gary V. Right? Who actually funds that. Do you understand? And he, if you look into my man and where is he from and where his inclinations and his allegiances lie, it's with the ops. Right? It's with the ops.
Put it that way.
So they are they are actively have a vested interest in misguiding people by giving more of a voice and more noise towards people that are on the fringes of mainstream Islam. Do you understand? So they popularize these people and they place them, again, I don't want to mention, there was a particular influencer. I ended up doing a podcast with him and it was an amicable discussion, and I don't know what he's doing now, but at the time I did the podcast, he seemed like he wanted to completely change his life and make Tawbah. So I won't mention who he is just from an angle of like, like we're men. So we don't, I won't say something behind the man's back. I had a good discussion with him face to face. But when he came to the UK, bro, he was one of those guys where he was just, bro, like he was one of the first guys that created this trend of practicing sisters losing their modesty, running after these influencer guys. Like they were going, bro, like running across the streets, almost licked down by big buses because they just want to see this Muslim. They were just going crazy. 4,000, 5,000 practicing sisters, outwardly practicing sisters, came with screaming his name, right? Now, this guy got funded by the Metropolitan Police.
Whoa.
It's in the news. It's not even hidden knowledge. Like, it's not even hidden. The Metropolitan Police, I think they put £8,000. Please, don't quote me on the numbers. It's all public knowledge, can be checked up. And he was on tour with the Metropolitan Police, and there was a woman from the police department that was representing them. And the whole point was, the objective of this tour is so that we can combat extremist ideology, which really for them ends up them combating mainstream Islam. Right? And they're gonna fashion it as we're combating ideology, but you're not. You're going multiple leaps and bounds further, and you're also attacking basically the deen, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm saying what we don't realize is that there's a hidden hand at play that's basically spinning the wheels with regards to those who have these inclinations that are getting the voice, and then that creates a trend that filters down to all these other girls. Plus, again, this is conjecture. I've got no doubt in my mind that the algorithms are also at play.
Absolutely.
I've got no doubt in my mind that these men get given money. They get paychecks by these interest groups to say, look, we want you in your algorithm to send this message. I'll give you an example. I'm not sure if you guys saw, but 2-3 days ago, Donald Trump, he put out a tweet saying that we need to do something about the Hindus and Christians that are being killed in Bangladesh. And when I get into power, I'm going to sit down with my good friend Modi and I'm going to address this issue. So I was sitting with the brother Sam Amin, right? From the Muslim Wealth Syndicate podcast. And he was like, I'm from Bangladesh. It's like, even you just looked at me funny, like, what? That's not happening. Like, the look, he just gave me that look.
Absolutely,
right? So he was like, bro, we all know that's not happening. We know that's not happening. But what people don't realize is that you have to understand how the world works. This guy's now coming into power. There are interest groups, what you call lobbies, right? That will basically give my man a paycheck saying, Trump, we will support you. And we'll get the Hindus to support you. And we'll get those that are, in line with that method, with that to support you. Here's a paycheck. Get to work. So his thing now is I've got to earn that paycheck. I've got to earn those votes. I've got to show these man, at the end of the day, if I'm standing for you, for the Hindu guys, they're going to give me that vote. So you're thinking, oh, he's just being oppressive. Of course he is. And he's just talking nonsense about what's happening in Bangladesh. No. He's being given money. Like, it's a business. It's funny because even this PBD guy now, I watch his podcast. I don't watch it like that, but I just seen some clips because of the election that's coming. I just it's everywhere. You can't miss
Absolutely.
it. And one thing that they keep saying is that Trump's a businessman. I'm not anti-Trump. I don't give a damn. He's been a kuffar. I've got nothing to do with it. I'm just saying you need to know what's happening. Like,
Facts.
it's a business. And now they're saying it outwardly, but it's been like that. Like, if you look at the Republicans and the Democrats, well, they differ on every single matter. That's one thing that they never differ on. Right? Gay rights, not even gay, LGBTQ, XYZ, rights versus none. Abortion, no abortion. Like, everything they differ on. You name it. But no, you know why? Because they get the paycheck. Do you understand? So there are groups. What I'm trying to say, I went off on a bit of a tangent, but is that there are institutions at play that want, for whatever reason, mainstream Islam to be low, to be down. They want to try to extinguish the light of Allah. But Allah will not let them extinguish His light. They can put all that money that they want in, and then they give voices to, some queer Muslim, some feminist girl, right? So some halal hip hop done, and so on and so forth. And by the way, this is happening. I don't want to go too deep, but I don't really like to associate myself to that online da'wah space, because there's so much wrong with that. We could talk about that later on if you want, inshallah ta'ala. So I don't really like to associate. So, even when you mention a name, it's like it sticks. So I'm not even going to mention certain names, but there are guys in the United States of America, on the West Coast, in California, that have, they are Sufis, extremely liberal. They do all that nonsense. And like, it's not even a lie. It's not even hidden, bro. They got crazy paychecks after 9/11 by the American government to build the institutions and to do the things that they're doing. So it's like you have to understand that if you want to fight these problems head on, sometimes it's not about fighting fire with fire. As in, it's not about they made a video, let me make a video. Not that I'm not saying that that's bad either. But what I'm saying is, who's gonna now go to the roots of the problem and say combat it on the same level that they are? For example, one of the things that we're working towards now is trying to help Muslims amass massive amounts of wealth. And I'm sick and tired of hearing Muslims saying my aspirations for 6, 7, and 7 figures. I don't like that. You know why? Because 6 and 7 figures is selfish. And it's not even a bad selfish. It's a halal. You can have 6, 7 figures, because 6 and 7 figures will only give you a lifestyle that you want. It will get you a nice car. It will get you a nice house. It will get you nice watches. But when you say 9 figures, 10 figures, actually that type of money, there's no extent to human desire that you will be able to fulfill with that amount of money. So why would you work towards it? Do you understand the point? It's a very deep point. That's deep. That you will only work towards it if that money is going to be used for other than just buying cars and clothes. So what else can you use that money for? Power. Do you know what $1 billion is? $1 billion is a lot of money. I'm saying, if a guy's got 100 mil, he's got private jets, he's got yachts, he's got mansions, he's got watches, he's got cars, he's got all of that. So why are you still working towards $1 billion? Okay, you might say the first billion mark is a stats thing. Okay, but bro, I'm in the 10 billions now. I'm in the 20 billions. I'm Elon Musk. I've got 100 billion. Why am I still working? Why am I purchasing Twitter when I'm an engineer? Because I want power. Do you understand? I want influence. Now, whether it's a God complex that they have, I don't like that statement, but people think that, like a God complex, like I'm trying to be in control or whatever have you, want to be the guy, the main boss or whatever have you. Or whether it's deeper than that. You actually believe in certain values. It could be religious, be political, and you're like, you know what, I'm trying to get money because I believe in that. So for example, there's right-wing groups that will amass these massive amounts of wealth, and then they will, for example, fund certain research projects in universities, and they'll fund these projects to cast doubt on actual scientific research, just so the scientific research looks like it's in line with their narrative. The left does the same. Science is not trustworthy. Like in these science, there are guys that are just Just think about it. These left gunnies who are pushing these, having these gender change, sex change surgeries. We all know that this is a business. These pharmaceutical companies make crazy amounts of money when a little kid has that surgery and loses testicles for the rest of his life. They made a lot of money on the back of that. So this whole thing is actually a very, 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 very sophisticated marketing strategy. It is a marketing strategy, and it's making those people rich. So what these guys will do is they'll actually give money to scientists to say respond to the other side, their scientific studies and research, and prove that actually these medications and these psychological kind of things that these kids are going through, they actually have a basis in science for it. So they're putting all this money down. Do you understand?
Absolutely.
So I'm saying the reason why these men are trying to get 10 figures, 11 figures, 12 figures is because they want to be able to do that. Do you understand? So my thing is now is that, brothers, we need to be a bit smart. Allah says in the Quran, وَأَعِدُّوا لَهُمْ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُم مِّن قُوَّةٍ. Allah says, prepare for them, i.e. your enemies. Prepare for them as much as you can in strength. And strength is of many types. The first type of strength, although the ayah is talking about jihad primarily, but the first fundamental strength that the believer has is the strength of aqeedah, the tawheed and the sunnah, uncompromising. No playing games. By the book, what Allah and the Messenger said, right? Then there's military strength, then there's economic strength. And we've been sitting on that for a minute. Like, economic strength is actually so powerful. So when Allah talks about jihad in the Quran, most of the time when Allah says do jihad with yourself, i.e. your body in the battlefield, before that He mentions money. There is that do money. And what is that? Spend your money to serve this deen. So if right now there is no context of military, support that you can give to the religion of Allah, but there's financial support you can give. You can, like, what Sheikh Ibn Baz and the early scholars did with the Islamic University of Medina. But I can't even begin to imagine the type of reward that's sitting on their shoulders on the Day of Judgment. Like, you create one institution. Do you know people that graduate from Islamic University of Medina? Mm-hmm. Do you know?
Not that many.
Okay, but they're pretty much everyone that you see who is a student of Islamic knowledge online. Pretty much everyone is graduate from there. So I'm saying, why can we now not then direct our attentions to create more institutions like that? Let's create some in Pakistan. Let's create some in Bangladesh. Let's create some in Gambia. Let's create institutions that provide education at the highest level. We can teach people the correct version of Islam, but then there you also teach them how to speak in terms of media. You get the media training. You also teach them how the world works, how the economy works, how political structures work. Not because we're trying to enter politics, but just so we understand the nature of the world that goes around us. How can you explain people? We need to think how we can then teach people how to be able to combat these problems on a foundational level. Because when we're on social media, we're just looking at one video that the algorithm chose to go viral, but we're not seeing there's a machine that's pumping this out below. Where is the machine? Who's funding it? What's the legwork behind it? That's what we're not seeing. So that's really what I'm trying to be focused on right now. So sorry, that was a bit of a mouthful.
Are you aware of OpenAI?
ChatGPT's? Yeah.
So there was a thing where they entered, should I vote for Trump? Right? And it was like, I'm not allowed to give you prompts with political things.
Okay.
It's unbiased and this. Should I vote for Harris? Yes, she promotes this. It has an agenda, but it's AI. It's unbiased. It's not unbiased.
Bro, all of these science things, all these technology things, it's very easy for someone to just put their thumb on the scale just a little bit and say, no, it's science, but really their thumb is right there. With just that little thumb, bro, just slightly, bro, with such the mass power that they have, the mass influence that these technologies have, that little thumb makes a massive ripple effect, massive impact, bro. So it's crazy. But one thing I'll say, bro, I was gonna say this, bro. DanTheMan down round, bro. I swear down, bro. Like, I love watching DanTheMan for this reason, yo. I asked him one question, yeah. And now, after listening to all of that, I'm like, yo, I just want to go make money and pray my salah, bro, and just get on job right now. I feel motivated already, bro. Mashallah, bro.
Honestly, when I come to my desk in the morning, bro, I honestly, when I get to work, like for my business, I'll be honest with you, and I ask Allah to keep me firm and keep me sincere. I honestly feel like I'm on the front line. Like I know why I'm here. I know what I'm doing. I'm not gonna sit here and say I don't like the finer things in life. No, who doesn't? The Prophet he said, "حُبِّبَ إِلَيَّ مِن دُنْيَاكُمُ الطِّيبُ وَالنِّسَاءُ وَجُعِلَتْ قُرَّةُ عَيْنِي فِي الصَّلَاةِ." Okay, the things that are made beloved to me from this world is perfume and women. But I find coolness in my salah. So no, there's nothing wrong with having a nice meal and having some nice clothes or whatever have you. But is that all you're working for? Like, well, I'm honestly, like, my mind just can't stop. It's like I'm just thinking about, bro, we need to build think tanks. We need to build Islamic universities. We need to create wealth for Muslims. Like, now that I look out, when I look at the skyline, when you deep it, bro, you know that beautiful Dubai skyline. That's wealth.
Absolutely.
That's wealth. But when you deep that for a second, some people, the most expensive thing that they own is a phone. But then you just zoom out and you're like, wait, I'm in a building. Someone owns this building, how much does this building cost? Then you zoom out, you're like, I'm on the street. What? Someone owns this street, he's more wealthy than all the skyscrapers that are on the street. Then you're like, what about all the activity that takes place inside of these buildings and these streets? That's even more valuable than the bricks and the mortar, right? So we're like, when you deep that, you're like, I'm in a different world. But I'm just chasing 6 figures. That guy's not on skyscrapers. Do you understand? and then they use the skyscraper that they have as leverage to what? Do the things that they want to do. Like, imagine you own skyscrapers. What could you do in there? What could you do in that skyscraper? Like, do you know what I'm saying?
I could tell there's a lot of people that might be thinking, why are they only talking about money? Like, isn't money something that's superficial? Isn't it just such a lofty goal that only has benefit in this life? Because there's a lot of shuyukh that don't talk about this. Right? I'm not coming for any guy in particular. May Allah bless all the shuyukh. There's a lot of emphasis in this dichotomy that you're either a man that's on deen and you're almost afraid of money, right? And you talked about this, that a lot of mashayikh, they go through this very early on, right? As a struggle, that I'm just going to say no to the money because it's going to come with issues and insincerity. And to be a high-value Muslim man, I just got to let go of the money. I got to be like a monk. So what would you say to that?
This came from Sufism. That bid'ah will harm you in more ways than just your aqidah. It will even harm your bank balance. Like, Sufis, they were a people who, and look, just to be fair, there's a spectrum of Sufis. Not every Sufi is exactly the same. But I'm being general. One second, let me just think about my words here. Sufis. You can keep sorting, by the way. I like to keep it natural. I like to be fair. Look, sometimes people, the reason I'm just trying to be careful is because some people misunderstand the word Sufi, and sometimes people use the word Sufi in a way that's not actually applied today.
So back in the day it was actually fun.
Right, back in the day it was used as like zuhud and whatnot. But now when I use the word Sufi, I'm talking about people that worship the day. I'm talking about people that that follow these tariqas, and they have liberal views, right? They have liberal views and so on and so forth. But again, one of the things that is quite common amongst Sufis is this concept of like abandon the dunya, right? Abandon the dunya and just basically, as you said, be like monks. So this concept of poverty is piety can be traced back to them. But when you look at the Salaf, forget the Salaf, go to the Prophet ﷺ. This concept doesn't exist there. Why? Look at Surah Al Dawah, which was one of the first surahs that was revealed in the Quran in Mecca. We've all memorized it. And there's an ayah where Allah Azza wa Jalla says clearly, little kids have memorized it. All of you have memorized it. وَوَجَدَكَ عَائِلًا فَأَغْنَى. Muhammad, we found you poor, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and we made you rich.
Isn't that indeed?
So there's a rule when it comes to the tafsir of the Quran, which is that the ibaratu bi umum al-lafz. Right? We will give consideration to the generality of the meaning. So and also, also we look at ma yatabadaru ila dhihin, that which comes to the brain first. That which comes to the brain first. Right? So when Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned that He made the Prophet rich, what comes to your mind first?
Money.
Right? And then that's what, because some people say it means contentment. There's another word for that in the Arabic language. It's called qana'a.
Oh.
Okay. So then if that's all Allah intended, He would have just said qana'a. Right? But the fact that Allah said rich, now can rich mean other than financially rich? Yeah, it can. So we will say it will take all of that. It means Allah made him rich in wealth. Allah made him rich, subhanahu sallallahu alayhi wasallam, in terms of contentment. Allah made him rich in all of the things that can come in the meaning of that word.
Okay.
But let's not escape the fundamental thing that word means, which is what?
Money.
Money. And it's, shall I tell you something? You know, it actually bugs me. And if someone says to me the person's poor to my face, the thought of slapping that person.
Scrapting.
No, it's actually an offensive term.
It is, yeah.
Like, you have to understand, right? Allah Azza wa Jal, you're telling me now, are you telling me Allah will send his messenger to earth to be an example for mankind? Yeah, he wouldn't be able to provide for himself. And he would live off his companions. Or live off his wife. You think he lives off his wife and that's it? So why is he marrying 9 women and providing for them? Is a man allowed to get married when he can't provide? It's just that he gave it all away in Allah's path.
Didn't he not go to sleep until he gave most of his wealth away for the day?
So the Prophet was extremely generous, right? And there was a moment when he was extremely sick, and Aisha radiallahu anha, you know, she was over him, and the Prophet said, "How much do we have? We have some wealth." And the Prophet said, "Give it away. Like, how would I stand before Allah as the Prophet of Allah when I have still got this wealth, you know, with me or whatever have you?" It was his generosity. He would get, there's a hadith in the Sahih of Imam Bukhari where the Prophet, he gave a man a sheep that filled a valley between 2 mountains. Can you give away someone else's wealth? He's giving his own wealth away, right? So when you had that famous statement where Umar radiallahu anh, he saw the back of the Prophet and he had marks on there, and he said, "Ya Rasulullah, the kings and the emperors of Persia and Rome, they live in their palaces, but Ya Rasulullah, you're staying like this." What was the Prophet's response? He said, "I don't live for this world. I'm not here living for this world." Where from that did you understand he was poor? He is what you call a zahid, an ascetic, one who abandoned this dunya for the next life. Didn't mean he didn't have it. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And from the clear-cut proofs, there's so many proofs. I actually have a book, I'm going to be going through it, inshallah, like creating a video on it, where the Sheikh shows how the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had 10 different sources of income, right? 10 different sources of rizq, sorry, I should use the word rizq, because not all of it was wealth, but as in monetary. But one of those is the khumus, the 5th from the war booty. Like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for him, he was allowed by Allah Azza wa Jalla legislate to take from a 5th of the war booty, right? Like that was his haqq.
Take a 5th or 4/5?
No, a 5th from the war booty. A 5th from. Sorry, to take from a 5th. So a 5th of the war booty was, you know, the soldiers couldn't take it. This was going to be spent. And
sadaqah.
Sadaqah, or the Prophet and his family could take from there. Do you understand? There's one example. There's many sources of wealth the Prophet had. Many. Actually, just simply, how is he getting married and he doesn't have wealth? You answered that question too.
Do you think there's this agenda where they make the Prophet seem very meek? Like, it's like you hear too many shuyukh talk about, oh, he was good to animals and he was kind, and it's like, we're not denying he was, right? But why are there not many shuyukh talking about how he visited 9 of his wives in one night?
Bro, one more thing to that is that he was on the front line in war.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, bro, if we
was not pushing buttons from the sky,
bro. Like right now we have a generation of want to be tough guys. You know what I mean? In the youth and all that, want to be top boys and all that. It's like, by our standards, the Prophet, peace upon him, was one of the biggest bad man, bro.
So
he was the number one front liner, right? Is that
bad man? But I know what you mean.
But I mean that I'm trying to colloquial turn it to relate to the youth. Yeah. To say, because I want him to admire the Prophet, peace upon him, not admire people who are trying to say they're bad man. Yeah. This is the real top guy, number one. Yeah, bro.
He was a real man, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Look, to answer your question, why some people, you know, compartmentalize the seerah of the Prophet and take one example without the other examples, is why. It comes back to what I said to you earlier, at the Rand report and all those things. There was a clear-cut agenda. You talk about these things, you don't talk about these things. And some people weren't necessarily given a paycheck, but they just had to fall in line because they knew Now we've got social media cancel culture, but before then, you would have, you know, getting labeled as a non-violent extremist. I don't want to be labeled as a non-violent extremist because then university is going to shut me down. Like before, you know, like shuyukh and du'at had YouTube. They would go to universities and give talks. And if a university shuts you down, your da'wah is gone. Or you had, I don't know what it's called in America, but in the UK, what's the name of that group there?
Which group?
That organization, they would go into all the different communities, go into the masajid, and they would try to even fund them. I forget what it's called, but again, they were working to tackle extremism, but no, they were just looking for anyone who said something that goes against their agenda. And what would they do? You know, create a case on him, create pressure on the masjid to block him, to leave him, to cut him out, whatever have you. So, and some masajid were being given money. Yo, take this money and just stay in line. It's a matter of fact, like it's stuff that's not even hidden. Do you understand? So then people were like, well, I really can't upset these feminists, or I have to be overcompensating and show the Prophet in a particular light. And by the way, I think, like, you know, when you study the character of the Prophet, like, it's mind blowing. Like, yeah, you're right. He was so gentle to animals, and he was so sallallahu alaihi wasallam at the same time. Like, he was so just, and he was so merciful. All the time just, all the time merciful. Yeah, he on the front line. He, you know, in the battle of Hunayn, Al-Bara ibn Azib said, when the battle got tough, we stood behind the Prophet for protection.
MashaAllah.
We fought behind him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Do you understand? Yeah, at the same time, you know, he's going to all of his wives. He's able to have intimacy with them in one day. Not, you know, individually, he would have a bath between each one. He's merciful to them. Yeah, he's also tough with them. He lets them know, listen, if you overstep, you know, divorces on the line, some boycott them for 30 days. That's the Prophet is a complete man, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Do you understand? He's a complete man. But coming back to the point about the wealth thing, so the Prophet clearly had wealth, his Sahaba had wealth, the Salaf al-Salih had wealth, and this wealth was used as a vehicle to serve Allah's deen. Like when you look at Surah Al-Baqarah, which is after Surah Al-Fatiha, it's the first, that big surah in the Quran, right? And how does Allah introduce the surah? Alif Lam Mim. ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه. This is the book in which there is no doubt. هدى للمتقين, a guidance for the people who fear Allah. And then Allah describes the people who fear Allah. And look at the first three characteristics. الذين يؤمنون بالغيب. Number one, they believe in the unseen. They have good aqidah. They've got good aqidah. They believe in the unseen. Allah, His names, attributes, Day of Judgment, Qadr, so on and so forth. ويقيمون الصلاة. And the second thing that they do, these people that are guided by the Quran, that the Quran is a guidance for, so they establish the Salah. And Allah mentioned it in plural to suggest congregation. So they pray the Salah in the masjid. The last thing, وَالَّذِينَ يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. The third thing is they spend from what Allah has given to them. So how did you miss it? Can you spend when you don't have? Like it's right there. It's at the top of Surah Al-Baqarah, right? Like in Al-Fatiha, we make a prayer. Guide you, Allah, ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Guide us to the straight path.
He's telling us what that is.
And then Surah Al-Baqarah is saying, this is the guidance you ask for. And have good aqidah, pray your salah, spend.
That's it.
Spend in Allah's path from what He's given to you. So can I now spend if I don't have? And the one who has more, does he not spend more? Does he not serve more? Does he not do more? Does he not produce more khair? Right? So it's like, yeah.
You know, the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba were the examples.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about some of the 10 companions guaranteed Jannah, as mentioned by the Prophet ﷺ, and how they had wealth, contrary to what people think?
Of course. So you've got Abu Bakr radiallahu anh, and Uthman, and Abdurrahman ibn Auf, and Talha ibn Ubaidillah, and Zubayr ibn Awam, and Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, who were, I just mentioned 6 or 7, I think, of the 10 promised paradise, were extremely wealthy. So Abu Bakr radiallahu anh, when he gave charity in Mecca during the migration of the Prophet, he gave away 40,000 silver coins. Now let's just do the maths quickly here. So 40,000 silver, and that was his complete net worth at the time. So 40,000 silver coins. With one silver coin, you could buy a sheep at the time of the Prophet. And a sheep is
about $300, $400.
So when I looked at it last, it was about £150. Okay. This is a few years ago. It's definitely more than that now because of inflation. But let's just be conservative.
I just did think about 250, 300.
You 250, yeah?
250, yeah.
Okay. So 40,000 gold coins.
Sample calculation.
Times 250. That's $10 million, bro.
Wow, subhanAllah.
Yeah, that's a one-time charity.
Subhanallah.
One time, there you go.
Wow.
And that was everything that
We hesitate paying the bill for dinner, bro.
right? And that was him giving everything. Now in Medina, we all know the famous story where Umar competed with Abu Bakr, and Umar was like, no one's gonna beat me today. I'm gonna beat Abu Bakr today. He brought half of his wealth.
Yeah.
And then Abu Bakr brought all of his wealth.
Wow.
So the second time in his life, he gave all his wealth away. The first time it was worth this much, $10 million in purchasing power today.
Wow.
Now, the question to ask here is the reason he was able to give his wealth away the first time was clearly he was a businessman. He knew he'd be able to get it back, which is why he did it the second time.
Subhanallah.
Because you can't give all your wealth away and leave your family poor. Unless I know tomorrow, don't worry, I'm going to be able to take care of my wife and kids. Right?
And what did he do?
He's a businessman.
Like what?
Trade. Right? I don't know the specifics.
Yeah,
of
like
exactly
textiles and stuff, yeah.
I don't know the specifics of exactly what he was trading, but he used to trade. Then you've got, Talha ibn Ubaidillah. And then this is the point that I was mentioning, right? So, a lot of the Sahaba had to go to Habasha. They had to go to Abyssinia because they were being oppressed. And then the Prophet himself and Abu Bakr are also having to now go to Medina because they've been oppressed. So they want to establish the deen of Allah, right? Talha radiallahu anhu, from the 10 promised Jannah, was so wealthy and he had so much power and influence because of the tribe that he was from. The Quraysh didn't want to mess with him. They didn't want to mess with him. So when some of the Sahaba were being tortured and they were being oppressed, no one was messing with Talha. And actually, when the Prophet is going to Medina on his way, he's doing the migration. Talha's coming back from a business trip from doing trade in, I think it was the Levant region, Syria, modern day Syria and other things, right? Sham. He was coming back, and when he came back, he saw the Prophet. The Prophet said, "We're going to Medina." So he had a beautiful cloak, right, that he gave, and he put on the Prophet's shoulders. He gave to him. Then he went to Mecca, and he went and picked up the family of Abu Bakr, and in broad daylight brought them out. So we know there was Umar, right? Umar came out and he said, anyone who wants to leave behind a mom that mourns a son or a wife that's a widow, follow me. I'm going to Medina. No one could mess with him, right? He did it in broad daylight. Also, Talha did the same. Talha didn't do it though because he was like, I'm going to smoke you. He did it because he had wealth. He had wealth. He said they wouldn't mess with him. He had wealth and power and influence. So when he picked up the family of Abu Bakr and he came to Medina, and I keep going, like Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas had a palace. Like, afterwards, and Zubayr left massive amounts of land behind.
They even say like Abdurrahman ibn Auf radiallahu anh, in modern day equivalents is like could be billions and trillions, bro. They don't even know.
Oh no, I've actually calculated. I've done calculations.
Yeah.
I've got a video, right? It's called Addressing the Poverty Muslim Mindset.
So,
I did make a mistake in the video though. What I did was I calculated I 20x'd basically every figure I mentioned in there, because I made a mistake between the rate of gold and silver, because the rate of 1 dirham is like 1 gold coin is 20 silver coins at 10 plus salams. It was a mathematical mistake, but bro, it's still crazy numbers. Like just go, if you watch the video, just divide that number by 20. I'm gonna redo it and re-upload it, inshallah. But yeah, bro, we're talking crazy numbers, crazy numbers.
Bro, you know what? We're talking a lot about how certain influences are being bought and sold a little bit, yeah? Maybe certain, they're being influenced to preach in certain ways, preach certain things like that. To be honest, bro, like, I like a lot of your content, all right? But I can also say that the way that you communicate sometimes is quite brash and direct. That resonates with me as a guy, okay? But among the masses, people might say you're a little bit divisive in how you communicate and what you say. Yeah,
or polarizing.
Yeah, maybe the sisters won't follow you as much, but the guys like myself, I'm like, yeah, man, I feel motivated. I want to go do something now. You know what I mean? Do you consider how you come across? Do you try to think about how can I appeal to more people, to bring more people to the straight path, not just the guys like myself? Like, bro, there's one video of you, yeah, I swear to God, yeah, you're in the masjid and you're giving a talk, yeah, and you're talking calm, but you're all on your phones. And I'm like, yo, yeah, that's my phone.
My brother was in his phone in my face. It was annoying. Put it away after that. Was quick.
Bro, I wasn't even there. That's my phone, bro. I said, that's my phone. I was like, what am I doing with this? Dash that one time. Bro, so my point is, do you consider how you come across, and do you think about how you can appeal to a wider audience, not just, and bring them more to a straight path?
So look, there's a lot of layers to that question, right? So number one, there are a bunch of things to consider. When I was in the UK, I was giving out to guys in the streets. I'm talking to leaders and every single day, like literally in the masjid in front of me. Like that guy I just told you about over the phone. He had a knife in the masjid.
No way.
I know. He had a knife. He was under investigation for a charge. The video where I'm telling people, shut up. Like that's a mystery where people got stabbed 2 Ramadans in a row. One time a guy was doing wudu, one time a guy was in salah. He got stabbed in Tarawih.
Subhanallah.
Right, those kids literally just started a fist fight before we started the salah, which is why there's context to it. So I don't, number one, because I used to give talks to sisters and brothers. By the way, the sister section was always full.
Wow.
My sisters, the sister section in the masjid where I would give talks was full to the brim. Sisters would come, they would bring their kids, everything. They would come in, you know, as in, maybe they wear mini skirts outside, now they wear niqabs. So alhamdulillah, we never had an issue. Like, and I never once spoke to the sisters in that way. I know that they're gentle vessels, right? As the Prophet says. I don't sit there and scream at women, but I scream at these guys in the streets. Now I don't even do that anymore. You know why? Because I'm not giving da'wah to those guys. Like, you have to know your context, right? And I guess the mistake that I made, it was a good friend, he pointed out to me, he said, Imran, the reason why these people are getting onto you is because you're talking to these guys in the streets. But that's like, you know, I was gonna say a guy was coding.
Yeah.
I was saying a tech guy. But no, that's just some like miskin guy who's like in his mom's basement. He's like, why are you shouting at me? Like, I don't smoke, I'm not disrespectful to my mom. And it just doesn't make sense when on his feed you come up and you're like, shut up. Like, so it makes complete sense to me. So from that point onwards, I was trying to be a lot more conscious of like some of those things that are very contextual. I wouldn't put them online.
Wow.
I stopped.
Right.
Yeah, because like
You still only focus on that.
Because so I realized people are not really understanding it, right?
Yeah.
So I tried my best to filter, but I'm like, I still want to reach out to those guys on the streets online. Like, someone actually sent me a video of them in a trap house watching my videos. And
Wow.
they're in a trap house. And I'm talking about drugs, what's going to happen to them, and they're sitting there thinking, and you can tell they're deep in it, like, oh, we're actually in a trap house, and my man saying this to us, right? Trap house like a house,
Yeah.
where they sold. So I was trying to reach out to them, but now alhamdulillah, I'm in a bit of a different world right now. So I'm personally right now, I don't talk in that way, and even I'm probably speaking a lot more slang on this podcast than I do, is because I'm just connecting with you.
You know what I mean?
I'm feeling the rapport. You know what I'm saying?
As soon as you see someone from ends, you're like, it just starts coming out.
But I've actively been trying to avoid that, because truth be told, like, we can do that personally, right? It's like how we talk off camera, but it's not a polished way of speaking. And currently, like, I'm trying to read Charles Dickens and trying to read this, you know, like classic literature, so I can improve my English, because the place where I'm in right now, I'm talking to 8-figure, 9-figure type of guys every day. Do you see where I'm coming from? And I'm trying to connect with these guys and educate these guys, so they start praying their salah, and then everyone in their company starts praying salah. Make sure everyone in your company is giving zakat. Make sure you're giving zakat. Make sure you're not making mistakes when you calculate your zakat. Make sure that you understand that, you know what, bro, you should be trying to become a billionaire, so that you can actually use that wealth to then help serve the religion of Allah and build orphanages and masajid. And, you know, I'm trying to have conversations with these type of people, and these type of people are wealthy and they're powerful, and you can't speak with them the way you speak to people on the streets. So that's why, you know, right now when people see the Righteous and Rich podcast, they're like, oh, he's always talking about money or this, that. And of course, we have one video that's business and one video that's deen, righteous and rich, right? That's how we alternate. But from the outside, I can see it's like, okay, this guy's just talking about money now. But most of the conversation that I'm having behind closed doors. No, not behind closed doors, sorry. There's nothing to hide, but it's not on camera, because I'm speaking with these people. So I've got a funnel for the da'wah in my mind. The funnel is I get the attention of these Muslim C-suite executives and investors and people that are, you know, high net worth individuals and entrepreneurs, because they're like, oh, this is a Muslim talking about money. Then I connect with them in real life. And then when I connect with them in real life, I'm like, you know what? If I can help this one guy change with Allah's permission, he's got 250 people under him in his organization. He's also he also partners with people just like him that have got 250 people under their organization every single day, right? And he's probably gonna grow to have 2,000-3,000 people in his company a couple of years from now. So by reaching out to one person in a qualitative way and making sure that, you know, I'm able to communicate with him the truth of Islam, it's gonna filter down. And I'm not looking at numbers. I'm looking at quality. I'm looking at the quality of the guy and how much influence and leverage him being on his deen is actually going to have as it waters down. Because as you mentioned, like, you know how you said these influencers are being paid. Like, you know, the overwhelming majority of them are not. Like, they're gonna sit here and they're gonna think, I'm not being paid. This guy's lying. Yeah, you're right. There's just like one or two that get their pockets flooded, who lead the way, and everyone else then just falls in line because that became the norm. Do you see what I'm saying? So yeah, I am very conscious of the way I come across, but it's contextual. Like, if you place me in front of some uncles, I'm gonna talk a different way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When people with me and like right now, if my mum was to call me and I start speaking with her, they're gonna think it's a completely different guy.
Absolutely.
Completely different guy.
Absolutely.
Like, it's not even a subtle change. It's a complete change. If you see me with my daughter, I'm completely different to how I'm with my mum. You see me with the guys in the streets, I'm completely. You put me in a room with some C-suite executives, you're gonna see a different guy. Put me with some mashayikh and some scholars. It's different because I change my behavior to fit the context that I'm in. And none of that is truth. That's all who I am. But I'm a person who believes he's one guy in every situation is foolish and unwise. That's why a lot of the people in the UK, they don't grow. Because how you are with guys on the street is how you are with your mum, so you're a shaitan. It's how you are with your sisters, how you are with your wife, how you are when you go to an interview for a job, how you are with your clients. It's all the same. Maybe there's just subtle changes. You need to learn to be able to adapt to these different environments. And it's just that online, what happened was that things were all context specific, got shared in an environment. No one from my area had an issue. From the whole of West London, no one had an issue. They all knew what we were doing. They knew, like, people knew, okay, we know what, like, we see what he's doing. They heard, all right, there was a masjid. Alhamdulillah, Imran went in.
Yeah.
Those guys are praying now. Like, they understood the context.
But other people are just watching that and thinking that you're just trying to, it's mad. So, bro, do you think there's like a disconnect between, let's say, the online ummah and the real ummah, the majority of the masses? Because if you, what you said there that kind of struck me was that you said the women's section was filled up.
Yeah.
Okay, I was surprised by that.
To the brim.
Wow.
To the brim. Actually, girls that would go hit the club and I were in the club.
But if you look online, the people that are making the comments, you'd think that the Muslim ummah is just toxic, bro. Do you know what I mean? If you look at online Muslims, the comment sections, these TikTok things that the people are making, you just think, what's going on? It's just toxic.
I'll tell you
is there a big disconnect? What's going on?
Yeah, I'll tell you something. So from my years when I was active in what you would call the online da'wah, which I don't consider myself a part of that anymore, or even the da'wah space, but I would always see a complete contrast between what I receive online and what I receive in person. Completely different. And the fundamental difference is literally, as you said, and I clocked this because when you're online, we were talking about this previously, right? People feel like they can get away with things that they can't get away in real life. And they miss the real life experience and the real life context. Anyone who ever came into contact with me in person, not everyone, I'm sure I rubbed some people the wrong way, but pretty much everyone was like, oh, you're actually different in real life. Oh, I wasn't expecting you to be in that way, because they actually took the time to engage with me. So the problem that I find is that most people who are in the online space are only in the online space. They don't actually come into contact with people on a day-to-day. Like, you see a lot of these guys that give da'wah, that do these, that might do a little reaction video, might make a video here or whatever have you. They cannot actually give a lesson in a masjid. Most of them can't sit in a masjid and actually get, even if they did, and they could be Instagram famous, YouTube famous, but people won't turn up to the masjid because they're like,
what value can this guy really add? Who is this guy?
Right. Do you know what I'm saying? Even though he might be getting crazy views online. Now, with us, we were always focused in the masjid. We were always focused in real life. Do you know what I'm saying? So I just used to look at online as a funnel. That's the top of the funnel. People hear about me. And the da'wah, they come into the masjid and they see, oh, this is what it's really about. Then they bring their friends and then it's just a cycle, we just repeat. So you're right, when you look online, it just seems crazy toxic because the algorithms, look, there's, I'm not sure if you've seen some of the data that came out with regards to the algorithms, but they actually mentioned that the content that goes most viral is content that's more closer towards hate speech, violence. It's because at the end of the day, it's the stuff that is scandalous, it's the stuff that is controversial and polarizing that gets shared, that gets viewed. So naturally the algorithm pushes that. There's a lot of khair online, but the algorithm just won't push it up. They just won't let you see what doesn't have the propensity to go as viral as more polarizing and controversial content. So when you look online, when you look on Twitter, when you look on Instagram, you're like, or Twitter, you're like, this is toxic. But that's just because that's what the algorithms are showing. But when you go in real life, you're like, no, it's actually refreshing. It's not like that. It's actually not like that.
Yeah. And bro, you said this, you're no longer in the online dawah space. Yeah. I feel like anyone from my generation, our generation would know, bro. It was you and Ali Dawah, to be honest. You two that were a combo, and from what I can remember, as far as like what people might refer to as dawah bros, that young Muslims start preaching, you guys were the pioneers. I remember you guys on the Edgware Road telling people stop smoking shisha. Yeah? That's the first time I was like, rah. Before that, all I remember seeing online was there was Dean Show and there was Dr. Zakir Naik. Other than that, bro, after that, it was you and Ali Dawah. And then you guys kind of started this whole kind of like online dawah flex a little bit. Do you know what I mean? A lot of ways. Or at least had a massive impact at the beginning. You're no longer in this space. What do you want for the space? What do you want to see happen? Do you want to see less of it? Do you want to see more of it? What kind of people do you want to see coming out talking? Like, you're no longer in space, cool. What do you wish for the space of online dawah?
That is actually a very profound question, Alan Berry. What I wish for the Muslims is for the Muslims to be educated, for the Muslims in general to be educated with regards to the reality of their religion, and for them to have role models and leaders that actually are qualified to speak on the religion, to come up and fulfill that responsibility. What I want from that space is these brothers that graduate from Islamic University of Medina, may Allah reward them, to actually take action, and instead of sitting and being armchair critics with regards to what these young kids are doing in terms of making the online space messy, you come up and show us. But please, and don't come up and show us in the cookie cutter version that you were taught in the Islamic University of Saudi Arabia, or of Medina, sorry, because there's a particular way of speaking and talking and conducting yourself that doesn't necessarily translate well in London.
Yeah.
Right? So over there, everyone wants to emulate and dress and talk and walk how the scholars there might dress and walk and talk, which I get for when you're there. But now when you've come, actually, please have some kick in your step. Like, be a bit articulate in the way you speak. Let us see some fluctuation and inflections in your tone. Let's have some body language. You don't have to be as audacious as me. You don't have to be as out there as I am. No, be you. Have your version of it, but be a bit eloquent. Like, take some time learning how to conduct a presentation. Take some time learning how to actually educate people on how to speak. Because the reason why some of these youngsters are able to get away with online in terms of what they're saying in terms of the religion is because they know how to talk.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's actually a narration of the Prophet ﷺ said, a time will come where your ulama, your people of knowledge will be very little, and your khutaba, your people who speak, will be a lot.
Yeah.
Right? We it seems we're in that
here now.
Right? The people who talk, they know how to talk are a lot. And now what's happening is that the people who actually have knowledge are being what? Shunned, and they're just being ignored. And I feel like it's just a presentation issue, man. Like, a lot of the times it's just a presentation issue. Just learn how to present. So come online, address the issue, and pair what you learn in terms of classical Islamic sciences with how to present that in the online context. That learn how to make a hook in your video.
Yeah.
Right? Like, when I'm making a video about how this mistake in your salah can nullify your salah. Have an interesting hook. A common mistake that 90% of people are making, which is causing salah to not be accepted, is, you don't have to say it in that, hype way that I did, but just learn like what makes a video turn up on a young kid's feed.
Yeah.
Just be a bit more intentional with the way you present your da'wah. It's very easy to just sit and do this. Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. And there's a time and place for that. And I will turn up to that lesson.
Yeah.
I will turn up to that lesson because I see value in it. But you're talking to guys that...
You're competing with that.
Yeah, you're competing with that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Whoa.
So the issue is that these guys are getting away with murder because they learn how to talk. They learn how the algorithm works, and then they use it to spread their ignorance. Now you then replace that with your knowledge, but arm yourself and equip yourself with what's going to help you thrive in that space.
I have a thought that I want to get your opinion on, yeah. And I've thought about this for a while, and it's what you just touched on right now. It's directly relevant, and I'm conflicted. Okay, I'm conflicted. I want to get your opinion, yeah. So a lot of people, when Andrew Tate became Muslim, yeah, a lot of people had a lot of mixed reviews. A lot of the Dawah brothers, they said, look, he's accepted Islam. Clean say, let's start new, yeah. Me personally, I was quite happy. Yeah, and a lot of people were like, why are you happy? I said, listen, the reason I'm happy is because all of his followers now that admire him are going to get that introduction to Islam as well as a by result. And what I would say is this, is exactly what you said. For me personally, bro, like, I can watch someone open up the book and go, you know, do the whole thing, slowly listen to that slow digestible content that's very valuable, okay? But you put that content on in a room full of 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, and 16-year-olds, they'll be falling asleep. They'll be like, who is this guy? I can't relate to him. I don't understand him. He's just talking, another preacher trying to teach me about Islam when I'm just trying to do my thing. Do you know what I mean? But now you turn on Andrew Tate, right? And a lot of things he preaches are bad. Don't get me wrong, I don't agree with it. But he just says, I'm Muslim now, and there's no God but Allah. All these kids, they're already fully tuned into him. They're already fully tuned into his Bugatti. They're already fully tuned into his lifestyle. But now they've said, oh, what? There's no God but Allah? And Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was his messenger? Do you know what I mean? Now they're engaged with it. Now this idea of being a Muslim is cool and can give that initial introduction to the young Muslims who are already kind of disconnecting and want to go down the other path of music and things that they seem to be cool. Now the coolest person to them is now a Muslim. So for me, I felt like, all right, that's a net positive. But I'm conflicted because, all right, a character like that also has had a history and sometimes still does promote some things that aren't necessarily particularly Islamic. Like, how should I be feeling? Because I'm conflicted. What do you think?
So look, I understand your point about how someone who has the attention of the youth will then be able to, you know, can engage with them about Islam, whereas they may not be attentive otherwise, right? But I actually feel that there's a spectrum, right? So you got guys that are just not engaging the Muslim audience at all, and they have knowledge. And then here on this spectrum, you got guys that are engaged in the Muslim audience, but on absolute ignorance. And then here in the middle, you got the guys that, you know, are engaging the Muslim audience with knowledge. Andrew Tate, I'll put him right here at the other end of the spectrum. and again, I don't like to talk about people behind their backs or to say anything negative and where I haven't sat with them face to face or anything like that. So I want to be clear, I'm not shunning the guy here. I'm not attacking the guy. Since you brought it up, I'm just talking about what is a matter of fact, right? So Andrew Tate, and he probably would admit this himself, he engages the youngsters, but he's very, very, very uneducated on Islam. So he says things that are actually, I believe, you see how these guys here have knowledge, but they're not benefiting people by actually giving them that knowledge. He doesn't have knowledge and is actually giving them poison. For example, the day when I kind of looked at him like I also had that hope of, inshallah, he's become Muslim, people are going to now turn towards Islam and all this, that, and the other. But he had this podcast with Patrick Bet-David, and in there he was like, you know, I appreciate the way he conducted himself. I could see as a Muslim, he's being grilled about Islam, asked about Islam, he was trying to best to hold his corner. But he said some things, and again, I can make a million excuses for him. He is
New.
in house, not just that, you're under house arrest in a different, you know, you just become Muslim and other, you know, there's a lot of excuses I can make for him. But he talked about how it's okay to be, and you know, it goes, I know one, two guys, it goes, my issue is trying to give that to little kids and whatnot, but it's like, if you want to be, that's the problem. He also kind of made it seem like all these religions, like, brother, you could do you do me. I don't want to misquote him, but it was something to the effect of like, you know, whatever, because the one guy's a Christian, his guy's a Jew, he's saying I'm Muslim, you know.
They can all get you to God.
There was Christians are right, 100%. The Bible's right. It's just we have Muhammad as well.
Right. So I don't want to misquote him, but I'm saying, you see, that type of stuff is actually toxic, because the same way how you mentioned he's got the attention of all these youngsters, he's now actually taught them something that's poison. It might have been better for them to have not been engaged in the first place than to now be engaged with poison.
Wow.
Do you see? So now the other guys who are in the Dawah space, they're doing the same thing, but maybe they're just I wouldn't say that they're as uneducated as him because they've had the benefit of, not being in jail and house arrest. So they've picked up a few things from Sunnah.com and Islam Q&A without actually having studied, but they picked up something. Do you get me? But they're still towards this ignorant spectrum, but having attention.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you a little bit earlier, you talked about your approach with sisters a little bit different than brothers, right? How do we give dawah to the sisters that are online?
Give dawah to their husbands.
They're saying, I'm a tabarruj influencer, or they're not calling themselves, but they'll say, I'm a hijabi influencer, right? The husband in question that you're mentioning is in the corner of the video, twiddling his thumbs, while his wife is doing get ready with me hijab tutorials.
They don't rate their
And
husbands.
they've used this excuse. They said, I've heard women say, and I quote, other women's hidayah for their hijab journey depends on me. This is a fard kifaya, obligation on the community that I have to inspire them, because if I don't, and they don't have
and
Muslim and they're like, if they don't have Muslim representation, that's what they call it, they're gonna follow the kuffar.
So let me tell you something again.
And the man says, my wife does dawah.
So we already know. I'm thinking of, should I just say this unfiltered?
Yeah, come on.
No, listen, this is...
Get vexed.
No, I'm not going to get vexed.
And just go
this is all bros, bro.
I want to, sometimes you want to say the truth. But I want to say it in a way where it doesn't hurt. But I'm thinking, do I have the patience?
Listen, the Prophet...
So not just put it out there. Look, all right. I personally don't stress myself too much with these hijabi influences, and I don't really waste much time trying to change their minds. Once they're on the way that they're on, it's going to be very hard to change them, and they're going to create a lot of corruption and fasad. The reason I don't bother changing them is because actually, you see, these women only got the audacity to do what they're doing because a man allowed them to do it. So I want to close the door. I want to talk to the men. You see that woman that you're talking about? Her husband is the problem. He let her do it. If he refused to marry her or threatened to divorce her or divorced her, right? Or made it clear from the beginning that this is a non-negotiable, he wouldn't have given her permission. What would have been the worst that happened? She decides to not marry him. But if you create a culture which makes it completely unacceptable amongst Muslim men, then suddenly that's not allowed. You see, no woman ever came out without her hijab and scarf willingly unless her father or her husband allowed her to.
Wow.
Do you understand?
SubhanAllah.
So my thing is, I'm trying to pattern the fathers and the husbands. Now I'm hearing from some guy, my daughter doesn't listen, my wife doesn't listen to me. There's fundamental issues there, fella. Like you let it get to that stage.
You let it, yeah.
You let it get to that stage. So I'm more interested in having a dialogue with the guys that actually can have an effect. Like this sister, she can't. Like even if she changes, like, brother, it's fickle. 5 years from now, 5 months from now, she's gonna be back. Because it's women are. Right, women are just based on they are heavily restricted by the emotions. Like you're married, right? So I'm sure you're gonna be able to resonate. Any guy who's got women in his life can resonate. Like a woman will misunderstand an event and she will be sad now. And then literally you will clear up the misunderstanding and make it clear that's not what you said, that's not what you meant, that's not what happened. And she will accept that. But she will say, I still feel this way. And you're like, but we just established. We're like, but we just established that feeling is based on something that's not our reality.
Yeah.
But they can't. Now, again, that is actually something beautiful because it helps them with raising children, and it helps them with so many other things that, like when I look, for example, Eliza Jarrell, my wife, the way she handles my daughter, like I'm like, oh, I can't even do that. But it's that, like for example, yesterday my wife had an intense headache, and my daughter was just doing her thing of, when they just keep talking to you and they just keep bugging, and you're like, just relax. She had a crazy headache, and she's showing my wife this toy that she's holding, and it says something on there, and she's like, it's like one of those food toys, you know, they like she got a little shop with like food. So she's like, Mama, is this sugar? Is this sugar? And I remember I could see how much pain my wife was in. She's trying to pay attention and she's like trying to read blurry vision what it says on the toy, and she's like, no, it doesn't, it says this. And I looked and I was like, bro, I would have just looked at her and said, baby, please, Baba needs to rest. But it's that emotional anchor that will help her, like that, you know, let me just, it's my daughter, I need to do something. So I'm saying that helps you here, but it doesn't help you here. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't help you when it comes to management, leadership, getting things done. Like, I just want to mention, I don't like politics. I'm not involved in politics. I despise politics. But I remember Brother Sam Amin, when I did the podcast with him, he said to me, the reason I mention that is because people might have thought, is this guy a bit political now because of the things that I'm referencing? No, I just like to know what's happening. I just like to know the rules of the game that I'm playing. Do you know what I'm saying? I just want to know what's going on. So I was watching the debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris just this morning. And the reason I watched it because the brother Sam said I watch every single presidential debate just to study the way they talk, body language. And I could just see, I was like, she's a woman. She's not gonna win. Like Donald Trump, again, I don't like the guy, I don't like her. To me, they're the same. They're two sides of the same coin. They're shayateen, they're disbelievers. I have no affiliation with any of them.
Absolutely.
But I'm just talking about on camera, Donald Trump just looks like a G. He's just there. He's not even looking at her. When she talks, he's looking forward. And he just does this. When she makes a statement, he's like you know, just a little, as in like, just brushes it off. On the flip side, when he's talking, she's like, you can see she's getting hurt and offended and shocked at things he's saying. Yeah. And not just that, she's looking at him the whole time. Like, you know, when body language is a big thing, you know. He's just looking forward at the camera. I'm not even looking at you. It looks so dominant on camera where he's just there like this. When he's talking, he's looking at the camera. When she's talking, he's just looking at the camera. But her, you can see she's looking. It's like literally what women do. They just look at the man by the side of the man. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to leadership positions, just, you know, looking up at the man, and you could just see that it just doesn't make sense. That when he talks, he's not animated in his speech. He's not being flamboyant or whatever. She's trying to be flowery in her speech, and I'm here for the small businesses, and I'm here for the women, and he's just there like, it's a lie. Like, you can see he's just got that male presence. Do you know what I'm saying? So we can even see it on that level, just the effect that a man has. Like, this is a man who is going, like, brother, I think he'd be going to jail. He's got sentencing in November, and they said if he gets into office, then he'll be immune or what. That's actually mad. Like, the guy's running for president. He's got cases, this case, that case, da da da. But at the end of the day,
he's a man.
He's a man. So and not that I'm just saying that justifies the crap that he's done, but I'm saying next to a woman who seemingly has a clean record, and I don't know, and I don't care what she's really on, but it's like the man still wins.
So men are the leaders. I'm with that. What about these? And this is not me playing devil's advocate, but there's many brothers that reach out to us. I'm married. I get that I was the youth before. I didn't have ghayra before, and I wasn't on deen. And neither was she. Maybe it's a revert, bro. Yeah. Maybe it's like a Christian couple. Yeah. They accept the deen. She's in bikinis. There's no sharia for them. At least they don't practice. Yeah. Now it's like, now she's a hijabi. Or maybe she's like, at least I know I should cover. And now he's like, I didn't have ghayra because I desensitized myself to it. And it was like 5,000 cuts. Yeah. Now, this male friend thing, bro, it bothers me. I don't really know how I feel about that. Now it's like, long time. Her going outside in a mini skirt, at least full sleeve, you know? So what advice would you tell them now? Because maybe, and there's many cases, he feels the ghayra, but she doesn't have the haya yet. And it's like, it's nuanced.
It's hard, yeah, it's hard for me to give an answer there because, like, if you ask me what I would do, that doesn't necessarily translate well because people's situations and contexts are different. Like, what if you have kids?
Yeah.
Then it gets messy. I would just say, look, number one, a lot of the problem comes down to you as a man. If the woman can sense from you that this is actually not unnegotiable for you, she will run circles around you. It's just that when you have to create that mind shift in her mind. That day when she wakes up, she looks at you, she's like, oh, he actually is not going to tolerate this. Like, you know, you can't come with the little, have have a conversation. I want to talk to you.
Happy.
Yeah, it's got it's and I'm not saying don't be nice and
Of
polite.
course.
I'm not saying and by the way, I'm with 3 guys right now. I've got 2 guys, there's 3 of us. So I'm just being a bit loose with my lips and I'm just talking like you obviously have to contextualize what I say and say it in a way that's going to be received well. But the point is you need to make it clear to her and say, this is completely and totally unacceptable. And I will not tolerate this. And I will not allow it to happen. You can do it with another man, but you cannot do it with me. Right? And I will not allow myself to be in this relationship for even a split second if you don't fix up. And you can do what you want, you go ahead, you can think about it, you can do what you want. I'm letting you know if you come back and your decision is anything other than being in alignment with what I'm saying to you right now in terms of covering up and forgetting these male friends or whatever have you, me and you cannot be together. Now I'm talking to a guy who doesn't have children, but children's a little bit more nuanced. But if you don't have children, I would say make it very, very clear to the sister that this is not something that you're going to accept and tolerate. And if you accept and tolerate, like what, then you still are
You're sinning too.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to be in that relationship, bro.
Yeah.
You don't have to be in the relationship. The fact that you're willing to be with her, if she's going chatting to other men. Let me tell you right now, Ak. She's flirting with other men, bruv. Let's be real. There's a don that just chats to her, gives a little 1-2 kalam. You might even touch her backside. I'm telling you, bro. And I'm not saying this happens to every single woman.
It happens.
But bro, it's happening. Like, let's be real, Ak. I'm telling you.
Now everyone's coming out, bro. Now everyone's coming out.
Yeah, she's being flirted with. She's being flirted with, Ak. Guys are looking at her thighs and she's coming out in a mini skirt. Partner.
Yo, bro. I got your phones, bro. Yes.
So I just did that because you referenced it earlier.
Yes, everyone's coming out, cuz. It's getting real now.
No, but seriously, have to. Yeah, it's peak.
Listen, bro. Someone like they're way loved up. Alright, I think that's a new. I think it's kind of new, bro. I don't know. Is it a new thing that guys are getting so loved up?
And I think it's been about. But
they struggle to stand their ground in these situations because they can't comprehend the idea of losing this girl because they get to this mind that this girl is the only one and they cannot be nobody else.
There's that, bro. But you know what I've also seen? There's a societal programming where it's like, are you insecure? It's almost like they emasculate you. They equate letting her be empowered and spreading her wings and flying as you're secure in your masculinity. And if you have ghayra, they'll say, you're not man enough.
I know some guys will be like, what do you mean? I know what it means to be a man. Actually, you don't. Let's be honest. You were raised in a single parent household. Your mum raised you. Your father was absent. Or if your father was there, he wasn't necessarily the best role model. Maybe your mum wore that, pants in the relationship. Maybe your father's busy work, so he didn't actually get to give you time. It's okay, bro. Don't worry. No one's judging you. But there are brothers out here that will be that big bro for you. And you need to seek them out. And there's no judgment. Like we say, hey, we laugh, we joke, but brother, on a real, I'm never gonna talk to a brother like that. I'm not gonna dash a coffee in his face and say like, like, we actually care. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And you need that support because trust me, as you said, the way that it will manipulate you. Are you insecure? Are you this or you that? What? That's actually mad. You know, for a guy who he's not centered enough, and he's not confident, and he isn't secure enough in his own manhood. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he'll get caught in a rapture.
So you can't change many times, although this is true, and I'm fully on board with that. You can't always change their dads. Many times their fathers are drinking, bro, smoking shisha. Yeah. They're supposed to be Muslim and practicing Muslim, right? Many times they might not have a husband, right? So don't women still need other women to help them in the sense that you could say the same thing, and I'm sure you've gone through this, right? You could say the same thing that a sister will say. Yeah. And the sister will listen to the sister, but when it comes to you, misogynist, right? So do women have a place in da'wah in the sense that with no tabarruj, I'm not saying like halal haram, but more of the nasiha, because you used to be nasiha sessions, right? We got to talk about that too, yeah?
Off camera. Off camera? No, as in the woman's got a place in da'wah off camera.
Off camera? Yeah, so you don't think it should be on camera?
No, of course not.
Of course not, right?
Why shouldn't come for?
Because wasn't Aisha behind the veil?
Of course she's behind the veil. Yeah. But I'm not even necessarily saying veil. I've got no problem with a woman educating off camera, but I'm saying, can I be honest with you? Let's be honest, we're all guys, right? And I'm not saying this is you or me. But saying we as guys know guys. Like, you know when these girls come with their niqab? Everyone's preening their eyes, bro. And you're fantasizing, what the You know what I'm saying? Because when you put the eyes out there like that, and then some of them, let's be real, they're putting mascara on the eyes, they're doing this, they're doing that. And even if they're not, bruv, suddenly it's like, that just becomes the most appealing.
I think it was harder for me to lower my gaze in Saudi than in the West.
Right.
Because when everything's there, you don't even want it, bro.
Exactly right. A lot of brothers say that. A lot of brothers say that, you know, I can actually desire someone like this. My point is that you are being sexualized if you like it or not. Look, let's be real. You know, sisters, they need to understand that the reason why their eyes are allowed to show in the niqab is out of, you know, one could say maybe necessity.
Yeah.
Like, if the eyes could be covered, as in, the woman's got 2 veils, her house and when she comes out, her niqab. But a woman's supposed to be veiled, period. Like, she's supposed to be veiled. Do you understand? So why are you out there talking to people now? I'm not talking about specific situations and circumstances. I'm talking as a general rule of thumb, like, bro, please, don't be online. Don't be online. Like, even there's some sisters that are on our Righteous Skills Academy, where we teach them the skills of business, right? And one of the primary methods of lead acquisition that we teach is through organic strategy, and we show them how to have a completely faceless brand.
Wow.
Completely 100% faceless. Like, we want sisters to be able to have these businesses that, you know, maybe they're single moms, maybe they live in a household where the father or the husband is working really hard, but he's just not being able to make ends meet because things are a bit, you know, crazy in the economy. Inflation is high, expenses are high. She might need to be able to work to help support him. It's good for sisters to know how to do that. We show them how to do it faceless, right? And there's actually now things that you can do where you don't even have to have a faceless brand. You can just, you know, do outbound, you know, Google ads where you've got traffic that's actually seeking you out in the tens of thousands every month. You just got to align yourself with the right keywords, and the people are coming into your funnel, and boom, you don't even need a social media profile for that, right? So yeah, definitely, I don't think the sisters, as a rule of thumb, have a place online. Period.
You know, it's quite hard actually trying to communicate with the sisters this particular subject, that men do think like this. Like, men will see the eyes and have mad thoughts. And it's like, you try to explain this to them and they just don't.
They know.
They know, yeah?
Of course.
That's why the tabarruj that is too.
Of course they know. Yeah, well, exactly. Why do you think they put in the eyeliner?
Whole face is bare, but in the niqab just the eyes.
Any woman who doesn't understand that is stupid. She's absolutely stupid. Don't ever sit there and tell me that they're not watching me. You know. Shall I tell you what? There's actually studies that show how much daily women get sexually harassed. Right? They get catcalled, they get this, they get that. You got guys sliding into DMs. You know and I know. Show us your DMs. Show us your DMs right now. Show us your DMs. You don't want to do, because you know.
We gotta get him another coffee cup to throw.
Yeah, bro. I'm getting ready to pop up.
I wouldn't do that to the girls. But it's like, you know, don't lie. Don't lie. You know that they're preying you. You know you're a fitna for them. So stop it. Like, let's be honest, Akhi. Even a woman who's unattractive is a fitna for a man. Like, we've all kind of seen that situation where there's a guy who you think, Allah, I'm bad, he can get any girl, and then he finds attraction in something that you wouldn't necessarily look twice at. Right? Beauty is an eye of the beholder. It is what it is. But, bruv, just stop it.
Bro, take away the beauty, take away the physicality, right? What does Allah say? Do not be soft in speech.
Yeah.
Lest he in whose heart is a desire. It's disease we're doing with that.
Right. You're absolutely right.
Just the voice, bro. Just the anklet, bro. The sound.
You know what? Coming to that point, again, show you how deep it is, right? And again, I'm not really talking to the sisters. If they listen to Alhamdulillah, I'm talking to the men. You know the ayah that you just mentioned, yeah? And also the ayah about jilbab in the Quran, right? And covering, and the ayah about staying at home, not coming out. These are serious ayat of modesty. Yeah. They are in which surah? They're in Surah Al-Ahzab. Yeah. Surah Al-Ahzab is a surah of war. Pay attention now. This surah is where Allah is describing a battle, and the battle that Allah is describing, He describes it in a way like He didn't describe any other battle in the Quran. Allah says that the hearts of the companions reached their throat, وَزُلْزِلُوا, and they were shaken. This battle was, the intent was general. They wanted to completely uproot and annihilate Islam from its entirety. They surrounded the city of Medina with an army of 10,000 soldiers. They put the Muslims under siege. Carnage. It was going to be carnage. The Muslims, their hearts are in their throats, as Allah says. Allah describes there are hypocrites that are in your ranks, that are backstabbing you. You have a treaty with the of just backstabbing you with your enemies. Your women and children are here, right? If you go and they get taken as what? Another man's slave. Your son, your daughter will be raised in another man's house as his slave. He's going to sleep with your daughter. All that's going to happen. That's what this battle was. Yeah, in this battle, Allah talks about, Ya ayyuhan nabi, O Prophet, قل لأزواجك وبناتك ونساء المؤمنين, say to your wives and your daughters and the Muslim women to put the jilbab on. O women, stay in your houses. ولا تبرجن تبرج الجاهلية الأولى. Don't come out and do tabarruj. Don't come out with your beautification, your makeup. O women, speak behind the veil if you speak to a man, and when you speak to him, don't beautify your speech lest there be a perversion in his heart. This is a powerful point to consider. In the middle of war, Allah is telling women to be modest. This is how deep this issue of modesty is. Like in war, in matters of war, Allah Azza wa Jalla is giving some of the most important ayat connected to women and their modesty and a man's relationship with a woman are in the surah of the most scariest battle in the time of Prophet. So what about when you're not in war? Do you understand? Like if a woman has to wear her jilbab and niqab when falling on top of her head, then what about when not? If a woman has to watch how she's talking to a man when there's a possibility of her being snatched as a slave and taken as another man's mistress. She still has to make sure that in the middle of that threat, she's covered, she's staying at home, she's not talking in a way, she's beautifying her speech. And the husband has to make sure that he enforces that in the house. He's on the battlefield, he's on the front line. He has to make sure his wife's covered. He has to make sure his wife's not talking funny to other men. He has to make sure that his women and children are home. And he's in the battlefield online, he's got flying in his head. And they're forsaking his responsibility. Do you understand? It shows you how actually peak this youth thing is. It's deep, isn't it?
Lost the plot, bro.
This is to emphasize the importance of this, that even at the time of when you could be getting.
Yo, babe, jilbab, yeah?
Yeah. That's deep.
Jilbab, yeah?
That's
Die.
deep.
Make sure you're covered.
Bro, I'm very conscious of your time, my brother.
We
We gotta do this again.
So if you have maybe one last question, you can address it, inshallah.
You got something, brother? No, to be honest with you, I was just thinking more about this, and it was along the lines of I think of a way to say this without getting without causing more stirring up emotions for the sisters, but keeping your wives in line. Let's say, you know what I mean. When you're saying sister, wife, jilbab in check. Can you speak a little bit more about that? Because right now it's almost like a taboo. Like you shouldn't be telling your missus what's what. You shouldn't be telling her how to dress. Yeah. You shouldn't be telling her how to be. This is her choice. She's her own person. You're robbing her of her identity. You know what I mean? All these types of things.
The thing is, I just don't listen to them.
But what can the constructive advice? How should it be?
But I don't have any advice for them, man.
No, but I mean, like, how should it be for men? Should they be telling their wife what's what, and to what extent should they be telling their wife what's what, and how should they be telling their wife what's what? How should
it's upon a man. Allah says, "Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu qu anfusakum wa ahlikum nar." O you who believe, save your women and your children from the hellfire. Save your families from the hellfire. Allah said, "الرجال men الرجال قوامون على النساء." Men have been placed as maintainers over the women, right? Because of the virtue, because they spend on them from the wealth that they have. So Imam Sa'di said, if you've been placed as a maintainer of the woman in terms of finances, then what comes even before the finances is her religion and her spirituality. Like you've got to take care of her deen. Do you understand? You've got to take care of her religion. So yes, like of course you have to. Do you understand? But my thing is, bro, why beef her? Why did you marry her? Why do you want to marry her? Just leave her. Let her be another man's problem.
Like, you don't know her. She has potential.
I don't care. Let her be someone else's potential. Why do you want potential? You should want. You should want. Like, do you devalue yourself to the extent where you just deserve potential? I want quality. I want the final version. I want the upgrade. You know what I'm saying? Why do you want potential? Potential's everywhere. You got the potential to be a billionaire. I got potential to be a billionaire. I got potential to have six-pack. Do I have a six-pack? I don't even necessarily care too tough. Like, do you know what I'm saying? I got potential to friggin' become a pilot. Everyone's got potential, but I'm not gonna be a pilot. Like, just leave it alone, bro. Just go get someone else. Just value yourself. And look. Shall I tell you what's important? I'm actually planning to. I'm waiting for Brother Mahdi to come back to Dubai, because there's a podcast I want to do with him, Sam, a couple of brothers, which is the type of woman a da'i student of knowledge / Muslim entrepreneur should marry. It's very important. The reason for it is because, and again, you know, we didn't talk about it from this angle, and I feel like maybe sometimes we do a disservice putting pressure on the women, things that we're doing wrong, but we don't show them actually where they could be doing so much khair. Because you see a woman, yeah, like a man needs a proper woman. Like I'm gonna keep it real with you. I used to be that guy. I used to think, what? I don't need a woman. I'm married. I don't care. I can't really benefit from my wife. No, I'll be honest with you. Every man needs that woman that's just gonna stand by his side and like ride it for him. So, you need to make sure you find yourself that sister that's gonna help you be the best version of yourself, that's gonna be able to help you fulfill that mission. You marrying a woman where you just have to fix the problems that her dad left behind, it's just long. She's getting in the way of your mission, my guy. Like, and let me break it down to you. You know, when the Prophet ﷺ became the Prophet of Allah, who did he go to?
Khadija.
How many men can go to their wives when they're stressed?
Most men, I read this somewhere, they come home from work and they stay in the car for a few minutes because they're just like, I just don't want to come home. This is reality, bro.
But I'm saying, like, imagine, like to feel the safe space to go to your wife and then for her to say words that are just gonna lift you back up. Imagine your wife is saying, I used to think, I used to be like, brother, words, I don't even care for words. And it's true, I don't, because I'm a bit hard body like that. But there's something about when your wife just says some words to you, it's like,
she's in your corner.
Yeah, thank you. Like when she came and she said that to Prophet ﷺ, and I have to understand, Islam conquered the world from a house that began with a husband and wife.
Wow.
Right? And a husband whose wife was active. Like, you know when Allah says, Ya ayyuhal muzammil, when the Prophet came to Khadija saying, Zammiluni, wrap me up, cover me up. And so Allah says, Ya ayyuhal muzammil, oh, the one who's been wrapped up. It's the second ayah that came down in the Quran after Iqra, right? Ya ayyuhal muzammil, qum. Oh, the one who's been wrapped up, stand up. Qum al-layla illa qalila, stand the night in prayer. Khadija is being referenced directly because she was the one who wrapped him up.
Wow.
Allah said, oh, Ya ayyuhal muzammil, he's the one who's been wrapped. Who is the one who wrapped him? So there is a reference to her. And when Allah is saying stand, and then at the end of let there be a group of the believers who stand with you. Who is the first who stood with him in prayer? Khadija radiallahu anha. So Islam started from a man and a woman.
But they slander Khadija radiallahu anha and say, oh, she was a boss babe, CEO woman, you know.
And if someone calls, you know, that even that term is discussed from boss babe.
Yeah. They use that to justify, you know, mixed environments,
business.
Bro,
business.
She would stay at home and tell the Prophet to go out and trade for her. She never used to go out and trade. Who said she would go out and trade? Fools. Who said she would go out and trade?
Compassionate moms.
Them guys there with a round report. Getting funded. Anyways, Allah make it easy. I mean, look, coming back to the point, there's two types of women that a man should seek.
Okay.
A Khadija and Aisha. A Khadija was one, both support. Khadija is one that will support you inside the house, support you psychologically, emotionally, help you get back up, create that environment that's just peaceful and perfect for you to go out and do your thing. The Aisha radiallahu anha will engage in the work with you. Like the Prophet, Khadija is known for encouraging the Prophet, helping him keep going, standing by his side, being that rock. Aisha radiallahu anha was known for taking the knowledge of the Prophet, spreading it, passing it, teaching it, educating. Sometimes women would ask the Prophet a question, she would take the woman to the side and give him the answer. So the Aishas radiallahu anha, the Aishas of the wives of the brothers are the ones who engage in the work with them. Babe, don't worry, I've got you. What do you want? You want me to help you? I can get it cracking. I can help you with whatever it is that you're working on. And then the Khadijas, they're holding your back. Every time before you push you back up. Do you understand? So you need to look for a Khadija or an Aisha, brothers. Anything less than that, and of course you have to be in the line of, you have to be aspiring to be like the Prophet ﷺ. You have to try and be a Sunni, on the path of the Prophet ﷺ. Because if you're not, then of course, and if you're getting those kind of girls, trust me, a lot of times it's a reflection, number one, of your own internal state, but also your spiritual state, as an internal psychological state, because you don't respect yourself enough to put yourself in front of women that actually would be deserving of a good man. You don't actually believe you're a good man. or a good quality iman, but also spiritually, because maybe you have some deficiency in your iman, which is why you're being placed with women that are compatible with you in terms of the deficiency too. So I'm saying, yeah, you need to look for Khadijas or Aishas, because I'll be honest, a man needs that. And for all my feminist sisters out there, like, I'm actually telling you that, you know, men need women. Like, we actually need them. Like,
That's the game. He's repping the game.
Yeah.
Don't. Brothers are going for Zuleykhas, bro. Just off of looks alone.
but Zuleika Matova.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm saying like before, yeah.
Yeah, before, yeah.
I know we said one more question. I have one more question. I actually want to know, genuinely know your opinion on it. So, bro, when we say look for a Khadija and Aisha, yeah, I've heard a hadith, yeah, and I want you to fact check me and correct me. I don't usually like to quote hadith too much, but since you're here, I'll say it. Is that once upon a time, Prophet peace be upon him was arguing with Aisha, and Abu Bakr al-Siddiq, he came in and basically started telling her off for trying to argue with Prophet peace be upon him. My point in bringing up this hadith is that, yes, we're saying look for an Aisha, Khadija, but there seems to be some leeway for sisters and wives to argue, because I'm thinking like, yeah, like Abu Bakr al-Siddiq said, like, you're arguing with the Prophet peace be upon him? Like, no, but he's the perfect man. He definitely didn't do something wrong. He definitely didn't do something to warrant but girls will still be girls. How much room should men and how much patience should men have with their wives for arguments, for them to start an argument?
So
for
like,
them
even
to,
when she's throwing the plates.
yeah,
Right?
how much, what should they accept and what shouldn't they? So look, where's the lines?
To answer that question, let's use the example of the plate, because that's a beautiful example that gives balance. So the Prophet's wife, Aisha radiallahu anha, smashed the plate that was given.
Why was that?
From another wife.
Oh, okay.
Another wife, she sent the Prophet food on a plate. So Aisha got jealous and she smashed the plate. And the Prophet laughed and he said, غارت أمكم. Okay, he said, your mother became jealous. And then he said to Aisha, what did he say? He said, a plate for a plate. As in, you broke this, now you have to recompense what you broke. So this is a beautiful example. The Prophet ignored her for that which is emotionally, naturally part of a woman's nature, that she cannot help despite regardless of the circumstance. A woman is married to a man who's got another wife. She cannot help but feel jealous. And sometimes that emotion will kick in from time to time. But then don't overstep the sharia. You broke a plate, give it back to her. Give her back a plate. Do you understand? So the Prophet ﷺ would give leeway to his wives in areas that were specifically, you know, in what you might consider a shortcoming connected to their nature that they couldn't help. Like, men have shortcomings connected to their nature. But the Prophet would never ever tolerate, under any circumstances, his wives to overstep the boundaries of Allah Azza wa Jal, right? And disrespecting the Prophet would be crossing the boundaries of Allah Azza wa Jal. None of his wives ever disrespected him. None of his wives disrespected him. How could they? A wife disrespect the Messenger of Allah? Disrespect the Messenger of Allah is disbelief. They never disrespected him. They never. That wasn't disrespect. Aisha wasn't disrespecting the Prophet. She was just jealous of his other wives. That's all that happened, right? So, like, even the situation that happened when the Prophet, you know, where they was worried that he was going to divorce them, they never disrespected the Prophet. What happened was that they tried to get the Prophet to spend less time with his wife Zainab and spend, you know, it was a wife's thing.
Yeah.
It was never disrespecting the Prophet, right? So, yeah, that's nonsense. That's nonsense.
So
and like, for example, when Umar radiallahu anh came in and he for example, it was I think the story was Umar, the one you mentioned, and he told off the wives of the Prophet because he thought that they were what? It's not because they were disrespecting. They were just like, yo, don't even go anywhere close. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, for example, your dad, you might not disrespect him, but there might be something that you might do that's like close to disrespecting, and someone might say, you act as your dad, bro. I know. You haven't disrespected him, but it's just like, don't even go near to disrespect him. Do you see what I'm saying? So yeah, it was never that the Prophet's wife, like Allah says in the Quran, to raise your voice to the Prophet, all your deeds will be nullified. All your deeds will be nullified. Like when Aisha radiallahu anha, when she was, and sometimes she would become upset with the Prophet. It's natural, right? It's human. Like you can't stop someone from becoming. The Prophet said, I know when she would be upset with me, I know when she'd be happy with me. Because when she's upset with me, she says, the Lord of Ibrahim. That's the most she could say when she's annoyed. Instead of saying the Lord of Muhammad, the Lord of Ibrahim. The Lord of Ibrahim. He goes, that's how I know that she's, you know, she's a bit angry today. That's respect. That's manners.
Yeah, subhanallah.
So be patient with them in what is out of their female nature,
Yeah.
but don't be patient when they try to transgress the laws of Allah.
Of course.
That's how you differentiate.
When I say don't be patient, I should reword that. Don't tolerate that.
Don't tolerate.
You can be patient with it, in the sense where you might be trying to give her that or work, help her, whatever have you, because look, no one's perfect. No one's going to marry a 10-10 in terms of absolute perfection in every angle. You might have a wife who's very righteous and she slips up every now and again. No problem. You can be patient with her. Right, don't be patient with a woman who's causing you to like become a youth. But if there's actually a proper good woman, you can be patient with her, but don't tolerate it.
It's not okay.
It's not, of course not okay.
It's not okay.
It's not okay.
But them being a little bit emotional and acting up, it can be okay. You should be patient and gentle with them in that regard. Is that right?
Just give us some nice, men should listen to the women. They should really listen to the women, man, because again, if you look at Surah Al-Mujadila, and we can end on this. We can end with one for the girls. Virtual spud. You can't actually spud me because we can't actually touch. Virtual dap is this. Just dap in the comments. You know what I'm saying? Just give it a little fist in the comments. Look, Surah Al-Mujadila, it's actually a very powerful surah. It's known as a surah where it starts off by a woman coming to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam complaining about her husband. But if you look at that surah talking about hypocrites, talking about victory. Allah says, لَأَغْلِبَنَّ أَنَا وَرُسُلِي. I and my messengers will overcome and will be victorious. So me and my messengers will overcome and will be victorious. Allah talks about the hypocrites and talks about the disbelievers and talks about, it's a very tough surah. Talks about everything. But how does the surah start? And also this is the only surah in the Quran where Allah's name as Allah is mentioned every single ayah. It's a very powerful surah. There's a lot of important things in the surah. Yet, the first ayah of the surah is Allah starts off by saying, قَدْ certainly. سَمِعَ اللَّهُ قَوْلَ الَّتِي تُجَادِلُكَ فِي زَوْجِهَا وَتَشْتَكِي إِلَى اللَّهِ وَاللَّهُ يَسْمَعُ تَحَاوُرَكُمَا. Allah says, certainly Allah has heard the speech of the woman who came complaining about her husband. Allah is listening to your discussion.
Wow.
There's many things to take out of this. The thing that really, really, really blows my mind here is that Allah is listening to a woman's complaint. Allah is listening to a woman who's complaining about her husband when she's been oppressed and wronged. And brothers don't want to listen to their own wives. Like, you think you've got more important things to do than what Allah is doing? Like Allah, who's the king of the heavens and the earth, who's doing everything. He's giving victory to some, defeating others. He's honoring some, dishonoring others. Yeah, Allah Azza wa Jal gives importance and listens. Not just listens, because Allah listens to everything, but He mentions in His Quran, which will be recited until the Day of Judgment, that Allah listened. And there's so much emphasis. Allah listened in the past and He's listening right now, He says, to the speech of the woman complaining about her husband. So that shows that listening to a woman is important. That hearing her out, hearing what she has to say. Some sisters take advantage. They sometimes talk a bit too much. They talk when they shouldn't be talking. They don't want to give the man space. But there has to be that healthy balance. So let me give him space. But then also, brothers, you have to sit there and listen. And just listen, bro. Just listen to her. She's talking waffle as far as you're concerned. But that waffle is important to her. So listen. Just listen. Like a lot of marital issues will just be overcome just by listening. I clocked. Like, you just listen to your wife. That's in your mind as a man, you're thinking of the response to the listening. But they don't need a response. The response doesn't make sense. What they're saying a lot of time maybe is not making sense. Just listen. Just listen. But we listen actively. Like, yes. Oh, wow. Really? Ask a question. Just listen. It goes far. It goes far. The sisters there, they just took a deep breath, like, oh, yeah. Thank you.
We feel so heard.
MashaAllah, that's good advice.
Long way better, bro.
Good advice. Brother Imran, Jazakallah khair.
Barakallah feek, man. Pleasure, man. Barakallah feek. I really enjoyed that. Barakallah feek.
Alright, cool, man. That's the Halal Bros.
It's only right you do the intro again.
What?
Close up.
Dawah man. Dawah man does all the dawah that he can. Praises Allah, preaches Tawheed. He is always on his deen. Watch out. It's the Dawah man. But
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
it's a freestyle, you know. A freestyle that. Man's like, oh, it's